Hi everyone. If you look back 2 videos that I did at the start of the year, you will see that there was the kind of running theme of 2024 being a year that would catalyse a lot of change and also a lot of revelation and truth on the kind of global scale as well as introspectively on a personal level. I've definitely felt that that has been the process over the last couple of months. There has been a lot of experiences where things that no longer work and no longer resonate are being pulled away. Again, both on a global scale and on a personal level. What have you felt over the last couple of months? What have you been called to release? As we drop density, we often experience quite turbulent rocking situations as we're called to take out anything that isn't in alignment with us anymore, but recognizing that and actually also having the courage to go forward and allow those changes to happen is a difficult thing, particularly when it's something that feels quite destabilizing to your human experience as it is at the moment when changes and circumstances are quite drastically altered. For a lot of you, that may have culminated over this weekend as we had a full moon in Capricorn, and that was conducive to the ending of the cycle that got kind of gone from May and June, where we were really feeling those things that needed to be released. So you may find that you've had some big changes or some acknowledgements of what your circumstances are and why they're not serving you anymore. Perhaps you've had to have some deep and meaningful conversations with people or felt that something is now starting to shift. Hopefully that will have allowed you to feel a little bit unburdened. It was very, very intense over May and June, particularly June into the early half of July, as we were recognizing those areas and feeling the weight of needing to let go of something, but maybe not necessarily having the strength at that point to do that. And I think as we've come to this full moon, that started to catalyze that a little. We are shortly going though into a retrograde period with Mercury. And for those of you who aren't already familiar with the astrology of Mercury, it's not a good time to make big decisions or big life changes. So hopefully if you've had anything that you've been called to change that needed to be done immediately, that's kind of been done by this weekend. And now it's time for a rest from making any big decisions. You may feel that you'll be called to do different things and that your circumstances are still being pulled towards change, because that's what this year is kind of really bringing through for a lot of people. But I would refrain from actually making any final decisions about anything like that until we get to the sort of second half of September when Mercury retrograde is finished. So it's always a challenging time when we have those kind of Mercury retrograde periods. If you're sensitive to energy, you might feel it particularly anyway. But just be aware that when we have these alignments that make us feel uncomfortable or just quite challenged or stuck in some way, it's usually because it's then going to give us a catalyst for the next process of moving upwards, for the next process of change is going to bring through our transformation. Have a little attention to the numerology that comes through as well. That can be quite helpful as you get that guidance for the processes that you're going through. It's like you get your little confirmations from the universe. Yeah, well, you are on this path and this is where this is sort of heading for you. There's a wealth of resources on available on the internet if you don't understand the numerology and kind of what the different numbers mean, but look out for recurring numbers. I've been getting a lot of 333s and 777s, and they're all to do with transformation and change, and I can really feel that in my personal circumstances at the moment. I'm going through a stage where I'm having to work out where my alignments lie once again, and to release any density or anything that's kind of holding back from moving into the next state of higher frequency, the next state of abundance. So I'm just sort of sharing that with you because I'm going through the same processes as I'm sure that many of you are. So we're all in this together. We experience it at different levels and we have different ways of understanding and processing it and being able to make it a transformation for the better and recognize where it's helping us. And sometimes it can feel like that's a really difficult thing to step into, but once you start to understand that the changes that occur in your life are giving you opportunities to grow, you can trust in that a little bit more and not feel quite so much like it's such a something that's going to kind of rock your world in a way that you don't want it to. So I hope that's been of some use. No big decisions for a while, just let it be, just kind of roll with it for until we get to the autumn. And hopefully this is going to bring through the changes when it is time to make them, if you haven't had to make them already, that are going to lift you to a higher level of consciousness and a higher level of frequency.